everyone. I'm Charlotte Tweed, relocation strategist and founder of Liberty Travel Coach, and welcome to Free Thinkers Rising. I have a different format today because everyone else I've been interviewing has been around the globe, but Sasch with Back to Freedom is here with me in Mexico. So I reached out to Sasch to see if he would do this interview, and he agreed. And I first found out about Back to Freedom at the Wednesday market in Ajijic. And there was a gentleman there handing out cards. You were putting on a seminar about Windows 11. So I attended that seminar and my mind was blown about what my computer can do to me. So I felt that Sasch's conversation was imperative to this summit. So today we're going to talk about computer privacy, phone privacy, the community that Sasch is trying to build here in Mexico, and and where he thinks Mexico's going with their digital ID. Sasch, welcome. If you could tell us a little bit more about Back to Freedom and yourself.
Back to Freedom was formed about a year and a half ago by myself and some colleagues up in the USA and over in the UK, and we formed with the express purpose of actually building tools and software and informational systems that could bring back a level of privacy to everyday internet users, and especially with a view to dissenting voices and those who don't subscribe to the mainstream narrative. And myself, I've been in tech for a good piece over 3 decades, and I was with Google for 15 years as a troubleshooter. That all came to a screeching halt in 2023 when my ideology finally was not to Google's liking. Google having become a colossally evil mega corporation, which they said they would never do.
Yes. So since we started with that, let's talk about the computer privacy and why not Windows 11?
Windows 11 is an almost perfect spying platform. I mean, your smartphone is already a perfect spying platform, but Windows 10, you could actually switch things off to at least have a level of privacy, to a degree. Windows 11, none of that is actually, you don't have the ability to switch any of that off. And not only that, the terms of service have changed to such a degree that Microsoft actually reserves the right to snitch on you to law enforcement should they deem that you're engaging in illegal activity or hate crimes.
And that's what shocked me. I didn't realize they had the right to do that.
Yeah.
So what are some solutions for people who are on Windows 11 or...
I mean, if you've made the switch to Windows 11, I mean, even if you're still running Windows 10, there's a lot of people around here that are still running Windows 10 that just refuse to make the switch. If you're still on Windows 10, there are ways of actually hardening the platform and making sure that you have a degree of safety. I still wouldn't recommend doing like crypto transactions or banking on Windows 10, no matter how much you've hardened it, because the vulnerabilities are increasing by the day, basically. If you've gone to Windows 11, you should seriously consider switching to Linux. The Linux Mint platform is it's free, it's open source. Open source means that the code is, you're able, as a programmer, as a techie, you're able to actually examine the code base to make sure you're not being spied on. So that's a very important kind of part of the whole Linux project. And pretty much everyday software that you can think of, word processors, spreadsheets, graphic design and whatnot, it's all available for Linux. So it's not like you're having to do without if you're just an everyday user. It's really just a question of having a little bit of a learning curve to readjust in order to have a machine which no longer spies on you.
I'd be willing to learn that learning curve. So something that I have done that you also suggested was LibreOffice. So I've said goodbye to Microsoft Office and recently moved over to LibreOffice. And I'm very happy with it.
Yes.
It's very easy to use. It's very similar to Microsoft Word.
And
I've been
it's free.
using Microsoft Word forever, and yes, it's free.
You're not paying an evil mega corporation $80 a year to actually be spied on. So
Exactly.
it's a fairly big point.
Now, to transfer to Linux from Windows, is it a challenge?
There are support forums and documentation out there which enable, if you're a reasonably technical everyday user, you should be able to actually do it with relatively little problem. If you're not technical, then yeah, I would suggest you get help. I mean, most of us have files dating back years on our systems, and backing up is. I know I'm not perfect at backing up myself, and normal users are less perfect still, shall we say. So to actually make sure that your files, your photos, your videos, your everything is safe. Um, yeah, if you're not a little bit technical, then I suggest you seek help. I mean, there's people in more or less every neighborhood that can help with it.
Which is something I would do. I don't consider myself a technical
Hmm.
person. I can run any software and learn anything, but the back end part, that kind of scares me,
Yeah.
that I'm going to crash my computer. So, was there anything else you wanted to touch on about privacy on computers before we move to cell phones?
On the computer front, I mean, the one thing I will say is that VPNs are nowhere near as secure or private as they're made out to be. The five biggest VPNs on the planet are all owned and controlled by the same Israeli company that actually has military connections. So I wouldn't count on VPN privacy in any way whatsoever. Plus, the NSA about 10 years ago stated that it could decrypt VPN encryption more or less in real time. So VPNs are great if you want to stream Netflix or Amazon Prime, but if you want to keep things off the radar, not so much. There are other better encryption platforms out there to make sure you're private.
Well,
Again, better on Linux than Windows.
yeah, and I find a lot of the time with VPNs, a lot of the things I want to use won't work when
Yeah.
I turn on a VPN, so you have to turn it off
Yes,
anyway.
that's it. I mean, your banks, your crypto
Mm-hmm.
exchanges, they automatically VPN sniff. It's fraud prevention, but it's also tracking.
Mm-hmm.
Your financial institutions are tracking you more and more because everybody's kind of beholden to the Bank of International Settlements, and they're rolling out new legislation at the end of June and then again at the end of the year. So expect
Mm.
financial movement to become tougher.
Well, I know with my bank account here in Mexico, the app on my phone, I cannot use the app unless I have location services turned on.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No,
So,
that's the same pretty much
yeah,
everywhere.
yeah, yeah. So, with cell phones now too, a lot of people think they are the evil, the the ultimate part of the big plan is the cell phone because they can
Yeah.
track us, they can find us, they can.
Mm-hmm.
So, what can people do who have an Android or who have an Apple phone or
Nothing.
nothing?
But right. See, it depends on how much you want the actual privacy, because your Android and your Apple phone track you 24/7. Every tap, scroll speed, eye direction, it's all measured.
Mhm.
Um, but there are, if you want privacy and private communications, there are ways, but you need to get another device. You need to get another device and install something like the graphene operating system on it, which then gives you a level of privacy. It's reduced functionality, but again, the functionality you get with Apple and Android, that comes at the price of surveillance.
Which they make things
So
easy.
so again, for the communications aspect, getting a private phone network in amongst you and your group that runs something like graphene, that really makes a huge difference. Also, something else you have to consider is that the microphones on the phones, a lot of us have noticed in the last. I noticed it about 5 years ago that the phone will pick up an awful lot of background noise
Yes.
in a public space. Well, that's not an accident. That's by design,
Mm.
because we are all. This is going to sound really paranoid. We are all basically voice printed. Yeah, our facial ID and voice prints are already in the system, And so by using the phone's GPS and having the phone listen to what's going on around you in a restaurant or a bar, public place, the system is able to really nail down who you're with, what you're doing, what you're surrounded by. And even if you're surrounded by people that have nothing to do with you and you're talking on your private phone, their devices can pick up the your individual
Wow.
voice print and go, aha, he or she is here.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's quite terrifying.
So it is, yes. But I mean,
Yeah.
it's so yeah. Privacy comes at a cost of serious behavior modification. You know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What do you think would be the easiest step for someone, or the first thing they could do? Because we all have phones,
Yes.
and we're vulnerable to it. We use them because it makes life easy.
Prisoners of convenience. Yes,
Yes,
absolutely.
convenience. So what would you suggest the one thing someone could do today to improve their phone privacy?
Without getting new devices. Um,
Because that may not be feasible for everyone right
no,
away.
this is it. I mean, as
Yeah.
far as it goes, there are. You see, you can encrypt your device, but again, you're vulnerable to the device cloud around you.
Mm-hmm.
So there's not really a whole lot you can do at the device level. Um,
So even turning off your microphone, turning off that doesn't work.
the problem is, and it's a lot. I know a lot of people that switch on like flight safe mode
Yeah.
because the phone doesn't communicate, but the phone still records. It still keeps a track of your GPS location, and the moment you switch the flight safe mode off, it's right there reporting back to the mothership.
Hmm.
So there's really very little you can do with it without alternative devices.
And the graphene phone is what you recommend.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's it. I mean, there are various flavors of privacy phones available on the market. Some better than others. There's a couple. I'm not going to mention any brands, but there's a couple that are really just alternative spy devices. Because the companies peddling them are, shall we say, unethical and have former cartel involvement, and that the thing just spies on you in a different way. So be very, very careful. It's probably best to go to a local operator and buy a phone, buy like a Google Pixel 7 or 8 from Amazon, and get them to actually physically convert it to graphene.
Okay.
That's the safest approach there. The commercial phones, there's a couple of brands that really are not to be trusted.
Okay. Now, still speaking on phones, with my phone, I have a Mexican SIM card right now.
Mm-hmm.
So there are a lot of changes coming to Mexico with digital ID push with your cell phones, with trying to get rid of cash at toll booths and gas
Mm-hmm.
stations. Now, with my current cell phone, I have that Amigo plan.
Mm-hmm.
So the SIM card is not registered to me right now. How, at this point, with the recording and everything, am I a little bit more protected that they don't know who I am?
Yes, I mean basically at that point in time, Mexico at this stage still has what you would call a burner phone.
Mm-hmm.
You go, you buy a device, you get a SIM, pay with cash. Nothing's really traceable back to you. The government is trying, as you said, trying to change that. The problem the government has at this point in time is that there is massive pushback, public pushback,
Good.
and you really at this stage, and the deadline is the end of June.
Mm-hmm.
At this stage, only about 15 to 18% of people have actually registered their phones.
Mm-hmm.
Now, with me, I have 5 devices. Only one of them is actually registered to my CURP. So what's going to be interesting is when the deadline comes and goes, if half the country or more still hasn't registered their phone, what's the government going to do?
Mm-hmm.
Switch off half the country? I'm going to say no, because that would severely hurt the entire nation and its economy. So
Yeah, I'm really
it's
curious.
it's
Yeah.
the civil disobedience here is going to be the key,
Yeah.
taking it forward.
And Mexico is a revolutionary country.
It's technically still in a state of revolution since the 1920s. So they've been in a state of revolution for 100 years. It's just a prolonged ceasefire. That's really
Mm-hmm.
the way this works.
Mm-hmm. So, what do you think as well about them by the end of 2026, supposedly eliminating the use of cash at gas stations and toll roads, that you will only be able to pay digital?
I think they'll get away with the toll roads because normal people don't really use the toll
Yeah.
roads. Only the gas stations. That's going to be a different. That's going to be a different undertaking. And again, it entirely depends on how the public responds to this. Because I mean, you had Obrador, the previous president, in his last year in office, actually make a constitutional amendment to guarantee the use of cash for 25 years. Well, Scheinbaum has come in and gone, I don't think so,
Mm.
and has taken actions to basically to undo this.
Mm-hmm.
Again, depends on how the Mexicans handle it on the street level.
Yes. And I think Justin Trudeau was at a meeting in Cancun with Scheinbaum a little while ago discussing the elimination of cash. There
Yeah.
were a few banking institutions doing that. So, is there anything else, any other thoughts you have about Mexico's push on the digital ID?
Well, Mexico City is already the most surveilled city in the Western world.
Hmm.
I'm seeing especially with the FIFA World Cup coming up. I've been here 5 years, so I've charted the way Guadalajara has changed and evolved to become a high tech city, and with that potentially a 15-minute city. But
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that's still that the jury's out on that one. Um, Personally, I think that there is a this is going to sound tinfoil hattish, but there is a push to actually unify North America and bring about the I'm going to say the death of the nation state and bring Canada and USA and Mexico under one big happy family,
Mm-hmm.
and Mexico has to do a lot of catching up with the other two. So there is going to be a big push for tighter surveillance, for more track and traceability. They're going to do this under the guise of human trafficking and preventing cartel activity. But really, it's a control device for the population.
And
So
how do you think that'll affect the standard of living in Canada and the U.S.? Like you said, if they have to be brought more equal.
personally, I think that the standard of living in Canada and the U.S. will progressively drop over
Mm-hmm.
the next few years. As I mean, we've already seen of literally as you arrived here, I was working on a piece about the supply shortages that are caused by all the various conflicts, Iran and Ukraine and what have you, and that's going to bite later this year.
Mm-hmm.
Mexico is a gross food producer, not a consumer, so it's probably not going to be as bad here,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, as the socioeconomic level in Canada and the United States gets lowered, Mexico's has to be raised to kind of meet somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
not exactly in the middle, but at an equally miserable place.
Mm-hmm. And do you think they're also trying to do this in Europe and Russia and China? Make
Absolutely,
like a three,
yeah, absolutely.
yeah,
There's going to be. I mean, the way I see it. I mean, I'm not the font of all knowledge, but the way I've seen it line up is that the Americas is going to be one region,
yes.
Eurasia is going to be another,
Mm-hmm.
which with basically, excuse me, with basically Russia in control, and then you've got China handling Asia and Oceania.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
You
that's
know,
what, yeah,
with everybody fighting about the natural resources in Africa.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Wow. So, what can people do? What are you doing here in Mexico to build a community to address these issues that you see coming here?
Well, I mean, at this point in time, it's a question of again, it's a question of how much convenience are you willing to give up in order to achieve a degree of freedom and safety. Now, as the Back to Freedom community here is growing over the last week since the last meeting, we've already started putting feelers out to actually get a property where we can actually grow food and livestock, goats, chickens, rabbits, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's across the lake, so it'll be a lot further. I mean, if it works out, it'll be a lot further away from the major population center of Guadalajara. Because if and I mean, it doesn't have to be the end of all civilization. It just has to be an earthquake, and this is an
Yeah.
earthquake zone to actually force you to fall back onto whatever you've prepared with, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And so we are Back to Freedom as an organization is building tools and compiling information to actually help weather any storm and like I said, regain some privacy, but locally as a community. And there's a community being spun up in the UK as well.
Mm.
Currently, as a community, we're just basically taking some basic precautions, food security, put a little bit of fuel aside, and have a view to, as a community, actually get renting a property where we can actually start some food production of our own.
Because you're located in UK, Texas, and Mexico.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah, and I've had some interesting experiences this past week with water.
Mhm.
Our subdivision that we're staying in right now has been out of water. Well, we have it back now, but 5 days we had no water.
Yeah.
And that's the most extreme that I've had so far since being in
Mhm.
Mexico. Everywhere, and it's not just to this area. Everywhere that we have been in Mexico, we have run out of water. So in the
Yeah.
last 4 years, 11 times
Yeah,
we've
no,
run out of water.
water shortages are
It's a-
fairly common. So
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
But
To
not
me,
normally for 5 days.
yeah.
Right.
To me, that was concerning. The
Mhm.
5 days, because we have been through it so many times. We always keep at least a week's worth
Yeah.
of water on hand. That's potable and stuff we can use for essentials.
Yeah.
Flushing the toilet, doing some dishes,
Exactly.
doing a little bit of your basics. But the community, I think that's why it's so essential that you
Mhm.
have somebody you can go to if you are out of water, if
Yeah.
you are out of food, and communication. You have a ham radio that
Yeah,
you're setting
we've
together.
there's a ham radio group local that it's been going for about 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
We've got one of our MacGyver types, who's over near Hoco, that's actually handling the whole thing. And there's currently about excuse me, there's currently about 60 units out there with more people coming on board more or less every day.
Hmm. And I'm very interested in that now too.
Mhm.
It's something I just learned
Mhm.
about coming to your last meeting
Yeah.
because yesterday our internet went out from 0943 to 1800
Mhm.
and I had no communication. My phone wouldn't work at all.
Yeah.
Even though I put data on, I could get
No,
nothing.
that's it. And it's I mean, last week I can't remember where I was somewhere out west, and I actually got the notification that your internet stream has been disabled, internet data has been disabled by your cell provider.
Mhm.
It's not like it's out, they switched it off.
Interesting.
And then
Yeah.
when you investigate, it's, oh, we're working on the infrastructure, but those excuses only go so far.
Yeah. Yeah. And I thought something like that had to have been the case yesterday with nothing.
Yeah, that's it.
And where we are right now, that's a problem. Where we are is temporary, but we're farther out of town. I
Yeah.
need to be able to communicate
Of course.
and have food and water. So, anything else about the community you want to share?
It's really just a question of, because I mean, I've been, over the years I've been part of kind of a few such community. This is the first one that I'm actually heading, and it's not, a lot of these communities seem to be about numbers.
Mhm.
I'm personally not interested in numbers. I'd rather have half the people that are willing to put in some effort,
Mhm.
instead of 150 people that just want to be entertained with information.
Yes.
So that's find surrounding yourself with people that are actually willing to take action is a huge part. If you're building any kind of local community, that's the crucial factor.
Yes, I agree. And it's any organization I've been a part of. It's 2% of the people do the work.
Yeah, well, it's
So
like any school group project.
anything,
It's like one or two
school,
do the work and the
church,
others just kick back. Yeah,
yeah, town council,
totally.
anything. It's all, that's how it goes. So, what is Back to Freedom working on? Is there a project you want to share?
We are actively working on a actually a bona fide private communications tool. We've been working at that for about a year, just over a year. But I mean, there are only three of us, and we all have day jobs, and we need to survive. So it's slow going. But the baseboard for the actual platform is functional and working. So it's in the testing phase right now, and it will actually really make a massive difference to, again, the level of privacy you can have on a smartphone.
And is it more of a social media type of
No,
platform?
it's
Just a
literally direct
communication.
communication,
Direct communication.
chat and call,
Okay.
a video call. We're also doing proper private cloud storage, private file transfers.
Mhm.
We're working on that, secondary, and we are starting to again. I've got a Russian guy over in the UK. That's one of our guys, and he's son of former dissidents. He knows all about losing liberties and not having any liberties. So he's about to start seriously contributing information that not only on how they're actually infringing on our liberties, but also ways around it. So there's a lot of information coming on, loopholes, rat runs, stuff like that actions you can take. I'm the geopolitical analyst, which is something I do an absolutely unhealthy amount of geopolitical analysis every week, and just to see where it's going, what's coming, where is it going. Another one of our members is a world-class financial and economic analyst. So the two of us are actually working together to mesh the projected geopolitical actions and their then economic impact. I mean, we all know there's a colossal crash coming. The question is how bad and when.
Yes.
So that's what we're trying to predict, and we're putting out information and forecasts more or less every week.
Mm-hmm. So as we wrap up and near the end of our interview, I've always been asking everybody, and I asked this with the phone thing, with all we've talked about. So we've covered community, we've covered computer privacy, cell phone privacy, back to freedom. Mm-hmm. What is one actionable step that someone could take today to ensure their privacy? Aside from a graphene phone.
If you're willing to basically sequester your phone when it's not in use, get a proper EMF shielded pouch. The normal EMF shielded pouches that are actually available on the market, and again, I've got a guy working on this. We haven't got a solution yet, but the normal EMF shielded pouches aren't really that good against the 5G radiation because it's a millimeter wave. So from that point of view, getting a shielded pouch that's also lead lined. There are a few available. It's kind of inconvenient. Put your phone in there, switch it off when you're not using it, and that will severely hamper their track and trace ability.
Oh, awesome.
And I mean, there's a reason you can't take batteries out of phones anymore, because the phone can now pretend to be off when it isn't.
When it's not.
But yeah, at least that way.
Yeah.
And I mean, covering the microphone with a piece of blue tack or something, that'll really muffle things.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So is there anything that I should have asked you today that I didn't?
No, I think we've basically covered all the basic ground. I mean, I'll be happy to come back and expand on things if you get feedback. We want to know more about this or that or whatever. I mean,
yes.
we're fairly close together, so
yeah.
Spinning up these interviews isn't exactly a big deal.
And EMF has another whole conversation.
Oh, EMF is totally another whole conversation.
I know I have people concerned about that as well. That's
it. And I mean, one of our members here is he's a Canadian doctor, and he's probably one of the greatest EMF specialists on the planet. Mm-hmm. You might actually want to talk to him as well.
Yes, I know him.
I know he'd be exactly. That's it.
Yeah, I've gone to him.
No, he'd be happy to talk to you, and he's a well of information on EMF.
Yeah, I should interview him. Yes. Where can people find out more about Back to Freedom?
We are at backtofreedom.co. Much though I'm loth to do it, I'm going to start a Telegram group as well. I'll give you all the details, so you can put them in the video description.
Great.
But so it's a relatively young organization, but it's growing. It's getting traction fast. So I'm really positive about future development.
Yeah, and what I really like is that you're offering solutions to people.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the doomsday scrolling, we're all going to die, there's no hope, just give up.
Oh yeah, no, we're very much.
I really appreciate that.
We're very much solutions focused.
Yes, that you're offering
organization.
Solutions.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Sasch, for talking with me today. I truly appreciate it.
You are more than welcome. Thank you.
Good.